Hello, welcome to the CRL Show. I'm Paul Arandale.
I'm Geoff Stevenson.
Welcome back, mate, after a week off.
Yeah, that's the dreaded lurgies going around. It's been great for giving me opportunity to sit on the lounge and watch a lot of BarTV. But apart from that, fighting fit.
So you didn't get out anywhere on the weekend?
No, I bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get up to Langlands Park up at Brisbane.
Oh, yeah.
To watch some action up there.
Yeah.
It was just a beautiful ground, been recently done up. And then I doubled back to Lakeside, around Newcastle to watch the Knights knock-on effect play Penrith.
Yeah.
And when was I in Auckland? Did I get to Auckland? I can't remember.
I don't know, but it seems like you've been tailing me a bit.
It's like I was in a fever dream or I was actually there all this time.
Right,
I've been unwell, but I just felt like I was at all these places. But maybe I was just sitting on the lounge all this time. But it's been a great week of footy.
Yeah, pretty much. I was at the same place as I was at Raymond Terrace, Auckland. Then Sunday, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember where I was. MCR, watching multiple games.
Join the club.
Yeah, it's starting to get really busy at BarTV. Our first weekend of grand finals, the country championships. We've got 5 games, all at GIO Stadium. Apologies too if I a bit under the weather. Geoff was at it. Yeah. Now I'm sort of out of breath and I don't know.
Passing it around to each other.
We may be back next week, who knows. But 5 grand finals at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Country championships, men's, women's, Andrew Johns Cup, Laurie Daly Cup and the Lisa Fiola Regional Cup. Going to be a big Saturday down there in Canberra. Yeah.
And it only, some of those finals, feel that long ago. I know it's pretty condensed seasons they have, but Lisa Fiola and stuff wrapping up for the season. It'll be a great set of grand finals down there.
Yeah, can't wait. Well, we'll get into some magic moments on the weekend. Plenty of crazy things happen on the weekend. Here's just a few little things that caught our eye.
I'm being too harsh in saying that.
First one's Braden Torpey, a 2-point field goal.
For a long field goal. He struck it well. I think he's put it through. Oh, that's a great shot.
2-point field goal.
Kicks his team in front. I think it was a 2-pointer, wasn't it?
Premier's Challenge. This is the final play of the day. Tortai Moga, former NRRRL player, played over 80 games, scoring in the corner to win the Premier's Challenge for Western Suburbs Devils. Yeah, Gerringong going down.
But, a really keen crowd there too. It's fantastic to see.
Absolutely well done, Wes. So it looks like the referee's going to call someone out here.
Jackson Hastings at the moment.
Jackson Hastings, the Bushman hanky. Caught by our cameraman. And then finally, Mike Wilson.
So as far as all those previous errors went, we're starting to see a bit of continuous footy now. So, dude, I had to say it. Well, forget that. Scrap that.
First one of the year, Mike.
Yeah, first of many, no doubt.
Yeah, some interesting magic moments.
Yeah, what are you going to do as a commentator? Have you ever got that one? Does that have much?
Every week. Well done, Jackson Hastings. That's his first stint on the CRL show, and it's an absolute ripper.
Yeah, I was curious to know whether if any of the wind caught that blow and it hit the ref, is that like
I don't know.
Blocker Roach style kind of you've got weeks in the bin?
I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm a bit crook. We've got to back up from
or is it all bringing the game into disrepute? You know, like you're allowed to blow your nose. I just thought it was fair, but wait till the ref comes over to you and then say, right, well, you talking to me.
I mean, the good thing, at least the referee's shirt's yellow. You wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Yeah, and I mean, this could have been happening for years with farts. We don't really know. You don't see a fart like you see a bushman's blow, so you don't know whether the ref comes over and let one go, that kind of stuff. So who knows? We've gone to that level. That's we're overcoming illness here, and we've gone to the level of talking farts here on the CRL show.
Yeah. It's only taken us 70-plus episodes. Forgot to mention, we'll be catching up with Duane Neville from NRRRL, the commentator up there. Preview things all NRRRL, and also the Northern Rivers having 3 teams in the country championships.
Yeah.
Also, we'll preview Sunshine Coast Rugby League. That kicks off this week.
Yeah, fantastic. It's our first real regional comp, really, that has kicked off aside from trials and pre-season games and that kind of stuff. So, very exciting.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into some results of the weekend. We'll go to the knock-on effect cup first of all. Round 3, Warriors are big winners over the Sydney Roosters, 46-12. Newtown also a big win, 40-10 over Souths. Western Suburbs were down 24-0 against Norths and come back to win 32-24. Will Hope scored 4 tries for the Magpies.
Fantastic.
Penrith 26-12 over Newcastle. Parramatta 23-16 over Canterbury. Manly 28-26 over Canberra. And St George Illawarra had the bye. We'll get the ladder up for you. We'll try and keep these flowing throughout the year. And there you can see 4 teams still yet to register a loss. So, but early days.
It's interesting because there's always that connection with the NRL first grade team, with a lot of these teams. And a lot of them have, you look at St George, Para, they're teams that are kind of fair to middling at the moment in the NRL, yet they're knock-on effect cup team are doing pretty well. They might put a bit of pressure on them, and the Warriors sort of had a shaky start as well. So they might be some players showcasing themselves, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the other teams down the bottom, I mean, it's early days, but we'll get there,
Yeah, we'll get the Jersey Flegg results. We'll go through them too.
The Warriors went down to Sydney 34-22. Cronulla won 28-16 against Souths. Fiji Cavite, get it wrong, won 23-22 against St George Illawarra. Parramatta defeated Canterbury 20-6. Newcastle went down to Penrith 50-18. Melbourne dominant over West Tigers 44-18, and Canberra 44-18 as well against Manly.
Yeah, we got the Jersey Flegg ladder up for you too. Canberra on top with the Storm.
Yeah, and like you look at the Storm being in these junior comps for a while now. I think they might have been considered a while ago as a team that's just in there. Maybe like Fiji as well, development team. They're not going to be pressing for too much, but look at that. They're looking pretty confident and pretty dominant at the moment.
Yeah, we've all got to start somewhere, sometime. So it'd be good to see the Western Reds. They used to have a team in. Good to see them get back.
Well, if rumours will be true, they'll have an NRL team soon enough, and that's the best way to do it. I think they should get as many. I think it should be part of the deal with the NRL. Say you might be starting in 2018, but as of next year, or at least the year after, we want some junior teams right down to ball maybe, and even a knock-on effect cup team, just to get things moving. Yeah.
All right, move on into results. SG Ball, round 7. Souths 52-8 over Penrith. Parramatta 34-10 over West. 30-36 Canterbury in a tight one against the Knights. Another one, Melbourne 30-26 against Canberra. Illawarra 50-14 over Norths. The Roosters 36-22 over Balmain. New Zealand 20-12 over St George, and Cronulla 24-4 over Manly.
Beautiful. Now to Harold Matthews, round 7. The Parramatta defeated West 24-10. The Knights beat Canterbury 40-10. Sydney defeated Canberra 28-16. Illawarra comfortable against Norths 30-10. Central Coast defeated Melbourne 34-0. Souths 26-22 against Penrith. New Zealand 22-12 against Balmain. Manly v Cronulla, they defeated Cronulla 20-10, and St George had the bye.
Tarsha Gale Cup round 7. Cronulla 26-18 over Sydney. Souths went down to Penrith 22-16. Illawarra 22-12 over Manly. Canterbury 20-12 over the Knights. Canberra 26-24 over Norths. Parramatta 20-10 over West Tigers. St George had the bye.
Now we're up to at least Fiola Cup Metro, round 7. Sydney went down to Cronulla 14-12. Penrith 64-0 against South. That's a big win. Illawarra 38-8 against Manly. Canterbury comfortable 38-6 winners against Newcastle. Canberra defeated North 30-4, and the Tigers defeated Parramatta 34-18, with St George having the bye as well.
All right, I'll read these next two here. Semi-finals. Results of the country championships. Laurie Daly Cup, first of all. Illawarra defeated Newcastle, and Macarthur over North Coast in very wet conditions up there at Port Macquarie.
Yeah, it was flogging down.
Yeah. Andrew Johns Cup. North Coast defeating Illawarra South Coast, and Newcastle over Macarthur. Those are the juniors there. I'll let you do the other ones.
Yeah, the men's country champ semi-finals. Western Rams actually gave it to, put in a bit of a show against the Rebels. They lost 20-10 against the favoured Rebels. And Northern Rivers, they were comfortable against the Monero Colts, 56 points to 12.
Yeah.
In the Lisa Fiola Cup semi-finals, Northern defeated Western 28 points to 12, and a close one and a grudge match, really, surely. North Coast versus Northern Rivers. North Coast got the win, 12 points 8.
Yeah, it's fair to say a Northern team will win the Lisa Fiola.
Exactly. It's looking good. Looking good for the development up there, isn't it?
Yeah. And the Women's Country Championship semi-finals, I played 2 weeks ago. So those girls enjoyed a break. But, their grand final will be played after the men's on Saturday.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at Ron Massey.
Yeah.
Okay, under Ron Massey, round 2 of Ron Massey. Mounties and St Mary's had a 10-all draw. Ryde Eastwood are comfortable against Glebe, 24 points to 6. Wentworthville defeated Penrith Brothers, 30 points to 10. Cabramatta defeated Canterbury, 44-24. And the Hills Blues, 40 points to 6 against Blacktown.
All right, Sydney Shield, round 2. St Mary's 32-18 over Mounties. Glebe 22-14 over Ryde Eastwood Hawks. Wentworthville 24-14 over Brothers. Cabramatta 46-8 over Moorebank. And Manly Leagues 24-18 over Hills Bulls.
And things have finally died down weather-wise in Brisbane, so they got a comp going. Brisbane Rugby League, round 2, which is essentially the first round after the washout. Logan Pride defeated South Logan 18 points to 4. Redcliffe defeated Wynnum 16 points to 6. And Carina beat West Brisbane 30 points to 18. Valleys have got the bye.
Yeah, it's good to see the BRL kicking off. Sunny Coast kicking off this weekend too, so Queensland's in full swing. We'll preview that a little bit very shortly in Around the Grips, but here are our tries of the week.
Yeah.
First one, I got Team Camper Party from MacArthur Tigers. It's a very wet conditions at Port Macquarie.
How wet it was. Bam.
The juggle.
Nice juggle.
And 10 points for the dive.
You should get sliding. I think you want to get up and celebrate.
Caleb Zeus, I hope I pronounced it right, Caleb.
It's a high sort of kick, and it's going to be taken on the full. The pass back on the inside. That's a brilliant play. Khalil Karuz will go in right next to the posts.
Gary Anderson, Carina.
Two of the hard men for the Panthers. Goes to the boot of Torpy. Finds the open space down there. Sends Taibbi chasing back. He fires a pass in. Oh, and it's an error from Van Claver and picked up by Anderson. Chance here for the Tigers. Anderson goes right through. Against the run of play. Cracks showing in the Panthers' defence.
Yeah, finally we got Harley Walker, the Newcastle Knights.
Here's Carmichael. Gets the offload away. Still on here for the Knights. Quick hands. Bit of space here for Flamo. Flamo still going. Gets out of another one. Good run here for the winger. Offload here to Carmichael. Carmichael's got support here. Hode's almost through. He gets through one. Through another one. Here's a try for Walker. It's a beauty for the Newcastle Knights. Harley Walker crosses. 6-4. Kick to come.
And finally we have Caleb Nichols of Northern Rivers Titans.
Speed, and now they come to this right-hand side again. Lovely dummy. And he shows it once again. Sells him the candy. Welcome to the candy shop of Caleb Nichols. That is one of the biggest dummies you will ever see in rugby league. What a fake out there from Caleb Nichols.
Yeah, they're our tries of the week. Well done to all those guys. Caleb Nichols in particular said that probably one of the best flicks dummies I've seen.
Yeah.
Also, too, I reckon the referee's like, well done, mate, there too, because he's like, thanks, mate. So,
he was doing a long celebration, but with good reason. And like I've said for years on this show, that without the BarTV footage, he would be telling that story. You could never sum up that. It's like, I did this, I did that in the pub. Now you can just say, have a look at this.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. We'll go around the groups. As I said, we've got an interview with Duane Neville. What we'll do is we'll kick the interview off with Duane Neville and then we'll finish off for the rest of the around the groups. So here's catch up with Duane.
Greetings, Paul. Great to be back on the show.
Mate, only a couple of weeks away before the NRRRL season kicks off. But before that, we'll touch on the Northern Rivers Titans. How good are they going? 3 teams in the Country Rugby League finals.
Unprecedented is probably the first word I can think of. 3 teams. We've had I think, 2 teams in the finals. I say we because obviously being involved in the Northern Rivers as a caller, but yeah, 3 teams, the women's and the men's, and the Andrew Johns Cup for the 3rd time, which I think no team's ever done before. I could be wrong. No team's ever won it 3 times, and Titans, when the previous 2 meetings, have won, come away with 2 titles. Of course, reflecting on that I think it was 2022 when they won at the death with a Zane Harrison try against MacArthur. So they've got a tough task against Newcastle Maitland Knights, which I think Newcastle beat them in Lismore about a month ago. And then with the men's, it's they've been in the finals thereabouts in the previous years, but they're looking for their first title since 2018, also against the Newcastle Rebels. And of course, the women, they'll be looking to get their first title, I think, in a little while as well. So it's going to be a big day down in Canberra, and no doubt there'll be some travelling supporters getting down to GIO Stadium come Saturday.
Yeah, it's not a short trip for them, but at least one thing on the Northern Rivers side, because the competition is so spread, there is a lot. They're used to a lot of travel, so that could help them out.
Yeah, and I was going to hit on home on that, and then just by chance that more so on the Andrew Johns Cup perspective, that these boys, and you got to remember these are under 16s and they go to school doing year 10 or 11, and a lot of those boys are doing school up here on the Gold Coast at PBC, so they have a lot of travel anyway, but they've only played the 1 home game in this whole campaign. They were due to play 3. They were supposed to play Monaro at home in round 1 at Moolumbar. I don't know why that was swapped around. And, of course, we had the Alfred come knocking on our door a couple of weekends ago, the cyclone. And it wouldn't be Northern Rivers Rugby League without a weather event prior. You can tick off of your bingo card a 1 in 50 year storm. But they were supposed to play in Lismore against the Northern Tigers. And then I think you texted me to call it in Byron, and then it got moved to Tamworth. So so a lot of travel already, and then some of these boys have now gone to Wollongong last week, and so now back on the plane to Canberra. So a lot of these men and women have had to do a lot of travel on top of their everyday jobs and schooling and playing football elsewhere. So but they're used to it, and no doubt they'll do their region proud, win or lose, come Saturday morning, afternoon.
Yeah, 5 games, I should say, at GIO Stadium this Saturday. All kicks off at 10 a.m. with the Northern Tigers, North Coast. Then Laurie Daly, Illawarra, South Coast, MacArthur. Then your boys in the Andrew Johns Cup against Newcastle. Then the women's, then the men's, Newcastle Rebels v Northern Rivers, followed by the women's, the Western Rams and the Northern Rivers. It's a massive day of footy.
Yeah, and a lot of teams and supporters travelling near and far, not just from the Northern Rivers at the top point, but I've said this in calls, like especially like when you call the Greater Northern Tigers games, like they're a home game for them, depending on where you live, is a 5-hour travel. So, but at least on the Northern Rivers standpoint, Gold Coast Airport's just up the road, and it's a 2-hour flight. So I think they'll be somewhat relieved that it will be a 2-hour flight as opposed to a 7-hour bus trip, and with Macca stops along the way.
Awesome, mate. Well, we wish the Northern Rivers all the best. Moving to the domestic comp, the Northern Rivers Regional Rugby League. It's always a mouthful to get out.
Yes.
Kicks off in a couple of weeks' time. Ballina, the reigning premiers, are they still the favourites up there, the strong team?
Yes, and probably deservedly so. They've been thereabouts in the last 10 years, except for a couple of years where they either were in the bottom part of the ladder or didn't make the finals, and that was 2 times out of 10 to memory. But I think rumour has it Oliver Regan, the prodigal son of Ballina Seagulls, is back from Kyogle. So he went to Bilamble for a few years, won a title in 2022 with them. And then now he's gone back to Ballina. That's a rumour. I'm just going what I've seen on social media. But a lot of the teams across the board have pretty much got this typical backbone of players. It hasn't really been a big exodus of players. Maybe the biggest one, if any, a handful of players have gone from Evans Head back to Casino. You've got, I think, Justin Shillingsworth, Torben Milton, who can score you plenty of tries. Certainly has done so for the Evans Head Bombers, but Roy Bell He's back for the Casino Cougars, and I'd be looking for them to make a big leap. I think I even said this last time I was on your show, Paul, that they will get on the cusp, and it'll just be interesting to see what happens coming into this year. And I have them making the 6. And I also have the likes of, say, your Balliners and your Coudjins and your Blambles. I'll be there. It's somewhere in the 6. But I also think that the other 2 or 3 spots is really up for grabs across the board. And also you've got Tweed Seagulls playing A grade for the first time since the comp started back in 2005. So I know it's cliche to say this could be the biggest comp ever, but really on paper, this has really got, biggest comp in history written all over it, if you want to go by the strength of the teams across the board.
Yeah, I'll touch on the Tweed Edge Seagulls now. They had reserve grade last year. How will they look? They might be a force, do you think, or like?
It's because to be brutally honest, Paul, it depends on who you ask. Some critics or other people around saying that their reserve grade team could have been strong enough to play A grade.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree, but there's certainly some A grade players in there, and no doubt they'll be playing this year. Who's going to be lining up for Tweed Seagulls? That's anyone's guess, because I'll be brutally honest, I'm not really across the whole politics on who, if you play Q Cup for Tweed Seagulls. I think that's off limits. Like if you suit up for Post Plus Cup, you're not going to get to play for the NRRRL version of Tweed Seagulls. I think it's more if you're a junior. It's hard to say. I guess we'll find out together next week, but I dare say they're going to have a strong lineup, no matter who they put out there 1 to 17. And I'm looking forward to doing some games at Piggabeen Oval finally throughout the course of 2025. But it's, as I said, with them thrown in the mix. Also look for the likes of Mullen Bimby, Lower Clarence are bringing some players back too. I think Tyler Essex, who was one of the top try scorers of the comp in 2023. He's coming back from the Roosters. Jersey Flag. Morris brothers are going to be stronger. Byron Bay have got a new coach with Brian Batiste, so they'll have a bit more of a local feel now that the Todd Carney experiment's done and dusted. And Tweed Coast, who were probably the more unlucky of the teams last year, Paul. I think I said last year that they were finished like 10 for 11, but had a positive for and against. They'll have vastly the same team, but they've picked up a Bell Antonizer from Byron Bay, who has been responsible for some of your highlight reels over the years on the CRL show, the big Fijian. So he's probably the missing piece of the puzzle there. So look for them to come up. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get off season and get on the microphone next weekend and get back into it, because it's going to be, I sincerely feel that this will be on paper the biggest competition the NRRRL's seen.
Yeah, I thought you were going to get away with not mentioning Byron Bay there at all, but you had to slip one in there.
Yeah, well, it's like your co-host said with the Snowy River Bears. I think it sort of just rubs off.
Good stuff, mate. So any fixtures that you're looking forward to? Any clashes? Is there any grudge matches that we should keep an eye out?
Local derbies is pretty much the flavour up here. I'm interested to see what Coudjin and Blamble, how they go with the Tweed Seagulls. I know I've seen it in the under-18s before I stood up and do an A-grade game, that there is just heat on and off the field. And so interesting to see how that gels. I think it's just going to – the Tweed derbies here are always pretty big. The Lismore derbies, especially, I think even in round one, you got Morris and Northern. And that was a splendid catch-up game. I remember watching that on my tablet down in Melbourne. And when Mitchell Krause scored the match winner, that's always going to be a fiery derby. Byron Ballina, derbies, and Casino Kyogle. But I also look for your grand final rematch, Ballina and Blamble. That could be another. There's a spectacle every weekend, and that's what the cornerstone is of the Northern Rivers competition. But it's all heat on the field, but it's they're all mates off the field, and you wouldn't have it any other way.
Awesome, mate. Well, we can't wait for another NRRRL season. The last couple of grand finals have been absolute crackers, and you've called them brilliantly.
Yeah, my
over the
voice has
years.
only just recovered after 6 months, legit. And so I've had an extended off season, but yeah, I'm looking to get off the couch this weekend and get back to the footy next weekend. Can't wait.
Awesome, Duane. Well, we look forward to hearing your voice in 2025, and we might get you on the show for a mid-season catch-up.
We'd love to. Thanks for the time, Paul.
Yeah, always good to catch up with Duane. Only a couple of weeks away, and I think if Northern Rivers can pick up a few titles in the country championships, he might be on the blower to me to say, mate, get me back on.
He knows his stuff, and he was right. There's been a bit of movement around the NRRRL. Some of those lower teams like Kyogle are very ambitious this year, and it's always interesting to see how that pans out, because sometimes some teams are playing the long game with juniors, others will sign a few players. But there are some teams there, like Bellamble, kind of wondering whether they're going to be able to come back after quite a few years of dominance and then not obviously winning last year.
Would you say Casino's taking a gamble?
Oh, yes. That sounds good to me. I was actually I went away, went down to the Star City and looked out for some Casino Cougars, but didn't see any. No. None at all, but I can't remember the team. I think it was a Gundagai Tigers shirt. Yeah. I saw a guy wearing a Gundagai Tigers shirt. I always wanted to just get a photo and just say, dude, like in the middle of Ultimo, you're not going to see that very often, but that's my spotting for the past couple of weeks.
All right. So what else have we got on the around the groups, mate?
Right. Now, I always love a good development, ground development. There seems to be a lot of them going on that I hadn't heard of that are finished, and it's fantastic. The Oaks Tigers, which I'll there's some pictures up there. They've built, and I think, like I said, I think it's because it's politics. It's the voting season. What do you call it? Elections coming up, so it's good to have a little ribbon cutting. But they've got a great facility. They've finished it at Dudley Sheehan Oval, and it's got a whole bunch of things in it. It's got a meeting room. It's got a caller's box. It looks like it's really well set up for years to come. So that was their big announcement this week. Ribbon cutting and all that hoo-ha, ready for a great season down at MacArthur Premiership. And I don't know. Actually, I wouldn't put it out there like... I'll put it out there. See if anyone wants to write in or send in a correspondence to the best ground in your group. This will always be very, coloured by what team you go for, maybe.
Are we talking about service or facilities?
I think a bit of atmosphere. I think we should have a criterion. I don't know. Like maybe I'm just a bit too nerdy about it, but I was looking at that thinking, it's going to be a quality ground for that area, and there's certain groups obviously that have those one ground that you go, oh, that's fantastic, but it might not necessarily be how modern it is. It might be just the look of it, the feel of it, the where it was built years prior, or the scoreboard, or the steak sandwiches, or whatever it is. Anyway, if anyone wants to write in, please let us know, because I just looked at that and thought, wow, that's going to be quality for the MacArthur Premiership.
That's awesome. Well done.
Anniversaries are coming up. There's a few anniversaries that we had a few years ago, 100-year, 50-year, and that kind of stuff. Starting with Avondale Rugby League, which it's two teams at the moment.
Yeah, the Greyhounds, the Wombats.
But they got their 50th anniversary, the Greyhounds. So I was like, wow, I guess 50 years ago, like they're kind of, it's good to see they're still humming along in their own way. Just having a look though, their retro jersey is just
fantastic.
You may see me wearing one very soon because I like the look of it. It's actually, I love the idea though. They're actually decided to go back to the 1976 first jersey that they put on for their first season. And they're going to wear it all year, but I think you can also buy it. So, and if you look, you can't look closely in the picture and stuff like that, but if I buy a jersey and you can look at it, they've actually etched the name of every premiership winner into, how they can do that in a jersey now? They can actually include, which is a really nice touch because there'll be grandkids and, I don't know, cousin, nephews and all that kind of stuff that'll be able to find the jersey and find, oh, there's my uncle, there's my dad, there's my grandfather. So
look, if anyone from Avondale's watching, we'd love to add to our jerseys on the back. That'd be a fantastic.
I'm an XL. I can do an XXL. Not that for the greater good of the podcast as well. But yeah, I think it's a cracker of a jersey. And I think as much as they dance around different sort of celebration jerseys and stuff like that, it's great just to go back to your roots. I don't think anyone's going to complain with that. The other anniversary coming up is the Maria Sharks.
All right,
They are 100.
Wow,
Which was, I was like, wow, must have been, you look back 100 years ago, there were these little teams emerging out in the bush and that kind of stuff. Credit the Maria Sharks, 100 years old.
Yep.
They've celebrated, there's plenty of stuff coming up. They've had a golf day. They're sort of saying, look, it's going to be a whole year celebration rather than one big event. But they just started off with their first, an update of their logo.
Yep, that's
which,
good.
if you're looking at there, is quite good. And it's actually like a bit of a separation from the previous logo, which looked like Cronulla Sharks.
An old one, yeah.
Mid-90s, like maybe early noughties sort of thing. So that's fantastic. I'd like that touch. Yep. And that's sort of around the groups from me, but we can chit-chat about... Oh, you've got some bit of stuff?
Yeah, we've got... just spotted this before. Wollongong Rugby League reunion, Friday the 27th of June. It's at the Loft. So Church Street, Wollongong. We've got the info there up on your screen now. Wollongong Rugby League was pretty strong back in the day. So who knows? Maybe from that it might rekindle another team. Illawarra's only got 6 or 7 teams, so another one down there would be great.
Yeah, and it's sort of like it's how the New South Wales Rugby League comp engaged as they expanded with Wollongong and Newcastle and Canberra, that some of these teams kind of just dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, yep.
The local comp didn't pick them up, or they didn't go there. So it'd be great to see it re-emerge. And a lot of, actually, there was, I can't remember, last week we were talking about a team that came back. Oh, it might have been Mandurin.
Yeah.
Mandurin came back, and they come back in reserve grade, but that just happened at a reunion. They were...
Well, you mentioned Maria. They've had a couple of tough years too. I think they've had a year or two out, or they've been back maybe a year or two. But interesting.
See it come back. Just like these clubs can come back, but I think it can often happen over a couple of beers at a reunion where they say, "Come on, let's do something." So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
he's hoping.
All right, we previewed NRRRL before. We'll do Sunshine Coast. That kicks off this weekend. We were hoping to get someone from Sunshine Coast on to have a chat with us, but instead you have to put up with us too, even more.
We could go up there if you like. We could do a live.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to.
That'd be a nice place to go to visit.
Yeah, no, it sure is. 9-team A grade again this year. Beerwood Bulldogs looking for 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Last time the club did that was Noosa back in the early noughties, 06, 07, 08. So, Beerwood looking for 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Last 2 grand finals too have been, I think, 4 points the margin. They beat Kawana in 22. Coolum, I think it was last year.
Yeah, Coolum last year,
Yeah, so...
I think even their qualifying final or whatever was pretty close as well. I think it was Noosa that last year that they defeated to knock out to make the grand final, but I think that was by 4 points.
Yeah.
So they haven't been like completely dominant like we hear these teams that have won 3 in a row kind of can be. So full credit to them.
Yep. It all kicks off Saturday. Kawana at home to Beerwood, and Noosa are at home to Caloundra. Both those games kicking off 5:30 local time, 6:30 in New South Wales. Don't ask me any other times, but that's it. Sunday we've got Nambour at home to Caboolture, and Coolum travel to take on Stanley River. Both of them 3 p.m. local time, 4 p.m. New South Wales time.
Loving that evening, Saturday night footy, especially if you're watching at home, because often, that's the time of night you got home from, you had a big Saturday doing whatever. Noosa, I'm assuming this will be the debut of George Burgess, the Noosa and potentially the Sunshine Coast biggest signing for a while. I was really surprised to learn that he's only 32 years old. So if he's happy there, he played for Cairns in 2023 and then Southeastern in 2024, which I can't really remember where Southeastern is. I think it's
New South Wales, Sydney.
It's a Sydney. I think it's Southeastern, like Maroubra, Sydney. So he's jumped around a little bit. But if you can find a bit of stability up that way, he's got a fair few footy seasons in him if he's happy to. And it sounds like he's happy up there. And I mean, if you're playing for Noosa, you might be pretty happy to just stick around and have a nice winter season of footy and then enjoy the summer up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I've said before about him, I made a point in a few episodes ago, he's getting involved with the juniors.
Yeah.
That was a big point that Noosa made, that he's going to be coaching one of the junior teams. I think it's role goal way of having, when you've got a big name star coming into your club, to say, look, give up a couple of hours through the week at training them and rock up on a Saturday morning and coach that team, because that would make a massive impact to those players and to the club, to have him there, not just that team, but he'll be there, throughout the day in the junior comp, sort of week in, week out, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. So, it's going to be another cracking comp, Sunny Coast. And even that, there's obviously there's reserve grade women's tackle, but also the C grade competition. You get a few of the villages around there, like Kilcoy, Beachmere. It's always good to watch those games too.
My Smokey, we've got to do our tips. Right? We sort of have been talking about this, and we'll get round to doing our tips for each BarTV comp. My Smokey is Caboolture, who have not signed big name players and stuff like that, but they've been looking at a long-term plan. I was reading their under-19s last year, won the minor premiership, and then won the grand final 74-12 against Caloundra. Yeah. And what they kind of are saying, or what their plans are to just slowly ease some of these under-19s players in from last year into the first grade team. So if not this year, look for the Snakes to be climbing the ladder. I didn't even think about that one.
Sliding their way up.
But it's I think they came 5th or 6th last year. So they're not like a team that needs rebuilding. Yeah. They're a team that's half decent, and I just think they're going to slowly climb their way up. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think that's all around the groups, is it?
Yeah, that's all around the groups. So, like I said, Sunny Coast will be interesting to catch up with. That Kawana Biwa game, I think, will be a cracker of a game to kick off the comp, considering Kawana's another one that's been...
Yeah, they weren't as strong last year. Look out, I reckon.
Ambitious, but last year was just maybe an anomaly. They just need to forget about that and start fresh.
Yep. All right, around the groups.
Around the groups.
Just over halfway there. It's Tess McWilliams again with a good run. Looking out the back, the intercept was on, but the fullback, Graham Withell, doing very well to hold on to that.
Throwing the headgear away, O'Connor. Now the left foot boot of Russell. Effaramo with it. Fields it nicely. And out towards the 20. Take it back to the 12. The garbage truck lifting him up. Humphreys, and now the ball. Surely they're offside, or they are.
Give me the ball and follow me. Great run there by Petit Young, who's been a standout for the Brothers team. Good shot there over the top from this Magpies defence, and that's the last.
Entertaining. As Van Dree is hitting a big shot in the centre of the ground. My goodness, he's been hit 4 times now today.
So now it's going to be a large kick needed here from O'Day. Gives it everything he's got on that left foot, and it's taken nicely there from Hill. And Hill upended. The defence answers him right at Brown. 1-on-1.
All right. Some pretty good big hits there. And if you're listening to this, you can always check it out at the website, BarTV. The big hits go back there.
Yeah, they're worth watching.
Yeah, or we might post them up on YouTube as well. Yeah,
fantastic.
All right. Wrapping things up this week on BarTV, we've got heaps. I said more comps starting, some are finishing, but it's going to be massive few months for BarTV.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of games we've got ahead of us with more to come. Yeah, it's fantastic.
All right, knock-on effect cup round 4 Saturday. St George Illawarra, they're at home to Norths, Newtown, and Canterbury do battle back at Henson Park, and Souths take on Penrith at Redfern. And the Roosters travel down to take on Canberra at Raiders Belconnen. On Sunday, you have Manly and Parramatta, and Western Suburbs against the Warriors at Campbelltown. Newcastle have the bye.
Yes, and in Flegg round 4 on Saturday, the Silktails are up against Newcastle. Souths host Penrith. Canberra hosting Sydney. St George Illawarra against Melbourne. Cronulla against Canterbury. And then on Sunday, Manly are hosting Parramatta, and the Tigers are up against New Zealand.
SG Ball round 8 on Saturday, Illawarra and Penrith. Melbourne and Newcastle, Sydney, Roosters and Canterbury, Parramatta and Norths, and on Sunday you have Souths and the Warriors, Cronulla and Balmain, St George v Canberra, and Manly v West. A lot of Sunday games here for SG Ball.
Yeah, nice. Harold Matts, now round 8 we're into. Sydney are up against Illawarra, Canberra play Norths, Newcastle up against Balmain, Parramatta against the Central Coast. They're all on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Warriors play Souths, Cronulla play Canterbury, St George are up against Manly, with West, Penrith and Melbourne having the bye.
All right, Tasha Gale Cup and Lisa Fiola Cup, round 8. It's the same teams playing, so we'll just put the one slide up there for you. West Tigers v Norths, Canterbury v St George, Parramatta v Illawarra, Newcastle v Cronulla. On Sunday, we have Manly v the Indigenous Academy and Manly v Central Coast and the Lisa Fiola. And finally, South v Canberra. Penrith have the bye.
Right, now Ron Massey Cup, round 3, getting into it. Saturday, Ryde Eastwood play the Hills Bulls, Wentworthville are up against Cabramatta, Canterbury play Mounties, and then on Sunday, Glebe are up against St Mary's and Blacktown are against Brothers Penrith.
Sydney Shield, round 3. Ryde Eastwood take on Hills Bulls, Wentworthville and Cabramatta, Moorebank and Mounties, and on Sunday, the standalone fixture, Glebe v St Mary's, and I'll look at the other line and realise that Manly hosting Brothers on Sunday as well.
Beautiful. Now, Lisa Fiola Regional Cup final. These are the championship finals. Yep. North Tigers play North Coast at Canberra. Then next, the Laurie Daly Cup final of Illawarra South Coast versus Macarthur. The Andrew Johns Cup final, Northern Rivers versus Newcastle. The Women's Country Championship final, Western Rams versus Northern Rivers, and the Men's Country Championship final of the Newcastle Rebels versus Northern Rivers.
Yeah, obviously Newcastle guys, we want to see Newcastle well, but a part of me can't help but, geez, it'd be great to see Northern Rivers.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And I mean, what I like about that is looking at the Women's Country Championship final, where it will be, I guess what you'd call an outlier kind of team in the sense it's not Illawarra and it's not Newcastle. It's either going to go Western Rams or it's going to go Northern Rivers, which is fantastic.
Yep. Round 3 of the Brisbane Rugby League. Valleys are at home to Redcliffe. It's Valley's first game after having the bye last week. Logan at home to Carina, and South's Logan hosts West at Davis Park. Wynnum have the bye.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's it. As we said, Sunny Coast kicks off this weekend. If you're unsure about kick-off times, just go to the website a little later on in the week. As I say, times may vary some days, obviously depending on weather and all things like that. So keep checking back.
Yeah, and hit the upcoming games part of the app as well. Yeah. It works fantastically, especially when I wake up Saturday morning. Yeah. And I got a scratchy throat. I thought, I'm not going anywhere today. And I just like, upcoming game. Right, what am I watching first? And you can just, like the old school with the old TV guide, you'd work out what you're going to watch in what order. It's fantastic.
Yep, and the beauty is you can always go back and watch the games later. So if there's 2 or 3 that you can't watch at the same time, well, you can always go back and watch it later.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Yep. All right, that's all from me, Paul Arandale.
I'm Geoff Stevenson.
We will catch you next week on the CRL Show.
Cheers.